Hello, everybody. It's St. Paddy's Day. Hopefully, the luck of the Irish is upon everyone, to say the least. We're here to talk sports and the NCAAs, the baseball going on, and everything else in between.
Yeah. I hope you guys have a little green today. Hopefully, you're making a little green
Yes, sir.
as opposed to just drinking it and exhibiting a little bit of decorum when you are out drinking if you're doing that, if you haven't already done that this past weekend for St. Patty's Day.
Yep.
Illinoisans are voting today. For all of you Illinoisans who are voting, get out there and vote. Make sure you use your power and have your voice heard by utilizing your vote. But
Yep.
other than that, let's talk basketball because that's really what's going on today.
It's true. That's right. Like I said, get out and vote, then go jump in the river, because that's one of the best things in Chicago this time of year is that Green River. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't think they allow you to jump in the river, but you can at least look at it.
Yeah, at least look at it. No, God knows what's in it. That said, yes, we are into the NCAAs. The first four kick off tonight. It's going to be great. I think the NCAA committee, in true fashion, played a nice little joke on us and left several brackets, which we'll go through in a second here. One thing of note tonight, there is, of course, the WBC championship for the World Baseball Classic. Venezuela pulls off a nice win yesterday. United States pulled off the day before, so you got the United States versus Venezuela tonight. Who you got?
You got to go with America.
Yeah.
Venezuela, they're a force to be reckoned with.
Hitting. Yeah.
However, I just think America's going to win, despite maybe some of their blundering with their coaches and other things that have happened thus far throughout that tournament.
Yeah, when a coach doesn't know the rules, it's quite embarrassing. But then when you admit it, it's even worse.
Yeah. Sort of your leadership, and it's not like it's just one person. So you're going to tell me there's nobody in the room that's smart enough to be able to figure out the math?
Yeah.
So, but they made it to the championship. Good for them.
Yeah.
I think that's really right now. Baseball is sort of in its infancy stage with spring training and such, and won't be much more relevant outside of this
Yeah.
until April.
I mean, I would say the only way that this could have been marketably rigged, as I like to say in sports, is if Japan made the final and you had Japan versus the United States. It'd be a big deal with Shohei and the boys. But beyond that, this is good for sport. I mean, I love the fact that a South American team or even a Central American team can make the finals, because a lot of those guys are literally playing in the league. A lot of the greatest hitters in baseball are coming from that area. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in.
Yep.
And you're right. I mean, it's funny, we talk about World Series and many of the championships that are in America say world around it.
Yeah.
And we truly do have players from all around the world. But my thought, quite frankly, is baseball is not an American sport anymore. If you look at the faces and the names and who is really the best players in the league, there might be a smattering of Americans, but the majority of those are South American, coming from the Dominican Republic, coming from Venezuela. Those are the people who are the stars of the league now.
Yeah, the one we'll just refer to it as the baseball league, because frankly, America's sport is football, and we will be there soon with the draft and everything else, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that in later weeks. But for right now, we will focus on college basketball.
Yay. Well, actually, before we get into college basketball, let's just touch on briefly.
Yes.
So the pros are in the latter part of their season. Wemby has got all of the headlines.
Yep.
SGA will probably win another most valuable player award. But what's really concerning to me isn't the men's basketball game. It's the women's game. They passed the CBA deadline.
Yep.
They don't have an agreement. They've been talking for 18 months, a year and a half, and yet they're at a stalemate. The players are barking that the leadership sucks. The leadership had, I don't know, a gift put in their lap, which was Caitlin Clark and now Paige Beckers. They've got a lot of viewership. They actually are on the map, and yet they can't figure out how to make this work.
There's great star power, marketing, competitive play, everything coming out of college basketball for the women's side. And the WNBA is literally, quote unquote, shit in the bed when it comes to this.
Yes.
If you ever had a gimme in sports with the amount of talent and marketability you're getting out of college basketball and women's today, and being able to translate over that to the pro game and even pro viewership, it's just sad what the WNBA has come to, basically.
It is. And I just think, again, The owners are greedy.
Yeah. You got ownership that's greedy. You can't reward the players for the flat out talent that they're bringing to the table between Beckers. You just named off all the star power there. I mean, tons of things. Asia Wilson, for God's sakes. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. And every player from Connecticut that's come through the league.
Yeah. You know, they're just a mountain coming from stores. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like these guys are what made the league. The WNBA, even just a few years ago, did you even see anything on SportsCenter? Did you see anything anywhere about the WNBA? Now it's really marketable. You have star players. You've got them in commercials. You've got them in movies. You've got them doing things. And yet the leadership is, well, you know, we're the owners and you're the players. And I'm sorry, but the players make the league, not the owners. So give them a little bit. They brought all of this attention. You guys didn't do that.
When you've got the NBA talking about shrinking the number of regular season games to make it more entertaining, and you've got the WNBA wanting to showcase more of their talent, that tells you something about what's going on in viewership of sports right now. And again, we're valuing talent. I'm sorry, the women's talent game has grown exponentially and continues to grow year after year, which is great. The men's game, let's just see. It's going to become a global game, which is great, I think. All the star power in the NBA, in my opinion, is coming globally, not domestically, which is awesome.
That's actually true.
You've got all these players at their top tier, you know, that we consider to be the anointed ones, who want to do, you know, load management and all this other garbage that we have in the NBA. I'm sorry, but things like that and attitudes like that make me turned off as a sports fan. And you've got people that are hungry to want to not only obviously create a living for themselves in the WNBA, but also have the ability to showcase their talents. And they're wanting to do it. Support it, for God's sakes.
Exactly. And they're passionate about their game. And I'm sorry, that's what we as fans want to see. We want to see professional athletes who care and who put it out on the floor or on the court or wherever they're playing every day. And that's what these ladies are doing. And yet, you know, we're sitting here and being penny wise and pound foolish.
Exactly. No. So like I said, my hat's off to the Players Union for the WNBA for staying their ground, no caving. You know what? I kind of hope it gets to a strike point, because then they'll finally realize the worth of that entire organization, because frankly, it's going to be a lot of dollars lost, I think, in terms of serviceability in that league if they get to that point, unfortunately. So at some point, their ownership has to give.
Well, and if they let that strike happen, what's going to happen in the future? How does that tarnish the league and the viewership? Because I can tell you, as a fan
right now, and you stop that wave, you're going to stop the wave. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as a fan, you got the momentum and you're going to take it all away. And quite frankly, it took me a while to get back into baseball when they had the crazy strikes of what Jerry Reinsdorf, initiated strikes where Albert Bell became the highest player in the league right after the strike.
Right.
I just couldn't watch it after that. So this is the danger that you're dealing with right now, owners and players. But I think most of this is on the owners. They don't want to give.
You're telling me that any team in any league in Russia, China, anywhere else globally wouldn't kill to have a WNBA star right now? Now, obviously, they'll get paid more to some degree. Why do you think that players go in the offseason to those countries? Because they're getting paid.
True, because they're getting paid.
And
that's why Brittany ended up getting arrested and jailed for over a year, because she was flying to play overseas because she was actually getting paid more there than she gets paid here.
Yep, it's facts. So no, to that point, I hope the Players Union for the WNBA stands up. They get what they want. They get equitable pay, everything else that they want to get out of it, and hopefully it gets resolved. But we shall see, unfortunately, in the midst of all of this. In the meantime, obviously, the WNBA players a lot of them are participating in the FIBA championships, which is kind of cool. I hope there's more coverage of that, hopefully, on TV. I haven't seen enough of it. I know it's at off hours, stuff like that, but it'd be cool to watch, honestly, because again, basketball is a global game now. We need to be able to appreciate that.
Yep, agreed.
Yep.
Well, I think we can sort of pivot from there to let's talk about the premier basketball in the month of March.
Yes, sir.
Which starts with an M and ends with an M, and it's called March Madness.
This is my Christmas. It's always fun. I've been a fan of this since I was 5 years old, since I knew what college basketball was. And frankly, this is the time of year where you get to trash talk. You get to be prideful of alumni. You get to have sports camaraderie. It brings people together. It's just fun. I mean, it's just pure joyness. You don't have to be the biggest college basketball fan. You can be sitting there at a bar in this environment on a Thursday or a Friday for first round games, and it is just the coolest environment in sports.
And I have to say, it's appropriate not that I'm a drinker. I used to be one of those guys. I used to take off Thursday and Friday this week every year because I ran pools for decades, and I would sit and drink all day, watch 30 games, 32 games, whatever it was for over the 2-game period, or it's not 32 games, but I guess it is 32 games, right? If you have 16 each day.
Yeah.
So, and I just enjoyed it. I immersed myself in college basketball and enjoyed every bit of it. I hope that people are still able to do some of that, tempering the drinking, but it's an extension. I think it's appropriate that St. Patrick's Day is always right before this happens.
It is. This is
because
perfect.
You're in the bars with people you don't even know, sharing a love for a sport, for a team. And it's just something that is quite amazing, to be honest. And I love it.
No, it's a sports event in its own right. It's kind of a coming of age out of the winter and into warmer months, and it's just good. It's just a fun time of year altogether. But that said, we're in the midst of it. The brackets came out Sunday night. I think there was some little bit, everybody's got a little take on it, including myself, which we'll get to here in a second. But at the end of the day, you get marquee matchups, you get matchups out of the blue, and it brings together fan bases, and it makes it a lot of fun. But let's get, I say, let's get into it. Let's have some fun with this.
Can I start with first? Okay, people are asking, did Duke get shafted because of where they are? Did St. John's get shafted, which they definitely did with their seeding? But here's the story that I just wanted to touch on real quick. Miami of Ohio. What was their record?
31-1.
And they're in a play-in game today or tomorrow.
Today.
Does that make sense?
Absolute BS. You and I have said this offline, and we'll continue to say it again. I don't care what level of sport you're at. You could be at a beginner stage, you could be at a pro stage, you could be at an international stage. To go undefeated in any sport to this degree is the hardest task you will ever go through in life as a player or a coach, anything of that sort. I don't care. The committee gave no respect to the fact that this team, I don't care about quad 1 wins and all the other bullshit metrics that we're using to kind of come up with logic on seeding. This team was 30-0 at one point. 31-0. And they defeated everybody in their conference. Everybody. Clean slate.
And these are Division I schools. I just want to make sure people know. It's not that they were playing Division II or Division III. They were playing Division I schools.
Yeah, so they're amongst the elite. They're amongst the elite of all players, and they're getting recruited to D1 schools. And they finished a 31-0 season, defeated their entire conference. And you're telling me that one game in March in their conference tournament knocks them all the way down to barely qualifying to make it to March Madness?
What are you telling all of these conferences with that?
Exactly. You're telling them it's all about money. And that's the sad part. And we'll get to that here in a second, too. I mean, and this just it's a travesty, in my opinion. I could try to put them on a line. Let's say they're a 12 seed, 10 seed, whatever they want to put them at. And I'm sorry, but they're not a play-in team. Now, the one benefit they are getting out of this, which I will shed some light on, is they're getting a home game. They're playing Dayton, Ohio, only an hour from campus, but they still have to play a feed-in game. And it's not the easiest feed-in game either.
They have to play a feed-in game so they can be a 16th seed against the 1 seed, right?
Yeah. No, they're feeding into the 12 line. They're
the 12 line. That's right. Yeah. That's right. It was 11 or 12. You're right.
Yeah. So they'll feed into a line somewhere in there. But regardless, the fact that you're making a team that is 31-0, basically at one point, have to qualify in for the main weekend is absolutely absurd to me.
I don't get it.
We do the same thing in college football. There's teams that don't play in the top tier conferences and don't have the toughest schedule, but they're undefeated walking into November and December, and we don't even put them in the CFP playoff. Think about that. We did that this year. If the money trail is killing me in sports right now, in college sports, let me be more specific, where money is dictating all of it, and it's just sad. It's just sad.
I think it is. I think there has to be a better way to come up with this. Otherwise, let's just call it what it is. It really isn't March Madness if you're not going to let some of these teams from some of these more obscure conferences get an opportunity to play in the big game.
Yep.
There's whoever Miami's playing against, whoever any of these teams that are playing these play-in games, if they're not if they are not from a major conference, let them in the thing. You're giving another major conference team an opportunity to still make the dance when some of these smaller teams deserve to be,
NIL is supposed to
let
level.
in.
Yeah, NIL is supposed to level the playing landscape. And frankly, and like I've said this before, I think last week too, football, I think it's still a little corrupt in college football. However, in basketball, I feel like it's even the playing ground where you've got some low-tier, mid-tier teams that are exceptional. And you'll get to see that showcased, hopefully, in the dance this year. And frankly, that's where you need to allow these teams to participate in the big dance so that can be showcased. When you're still leaving it to where a team like a Texas or an Auburn and all these other things are bubble teams over those teams that have done exceptionally well in their mid and lows is absolute bullcrap just because of the name and wherever they play. It's just ridiculous to me.
And you said it right. Why is Texas in there? Why are these teams in there? They had their opportunities. Exactly. They play in those major conferences for a reason. They recruit on the highest level. And if you're not good enough, then you're not good enough. You're giving them an extra chance instead of letting a Long Beach State or whatever be able to come in and play. Even if they have to be a 15 or 16 seed, they shouldn't have to play in to get there. They shouldn't have to play to be a 12 seed. Let them in.
I'll tie this back to conference realignment. As a school, you have a choice to go play in whatever conference you want to go play because that's what it's become, because you've got a lot of teams that are defected. Texas used to be a Big 12 school. They said, no, I want the money of the SEC in the competition. Well, guess what? Now you got your big boy pants on and you're not that good in basketball, are you? So guess what? You don't deserve to get in the dance, in my opinion, because you paid to play in that conference and you failed so that, hey, maybe you stayed in the Big 12, maybe you get in, maybe you don't. Or you go to the SWAC or whatever it is. But these other schools don't get the opportunity to buy their way into the SEC or buy their way into the Big 10. Yep. But they're cleaning up shop in where they can, and they're becoming the best of where they can be. So you know what? Let them in. Let them play those big dogs is what I say.
Miami's playing SMU. SMU is favored by 6.5.
SMU's favored, and they're a strong team. Yeah, they're coming out. Yeah, strong conference team. And that's not – I mean, I don't care about the fairness of the match. Okay, I get it. The NCAAs are supposed to be kind of all over the place in terms of matchups. But when you have that as a feed-in game, are you kidding me?
That's just wrong.
Yeah.
You can only play the schedule that you have.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's to me, it's sad. On that note, and going to at least the Eastern, like you just alluded to the East Conference and Duke and all that. So Duke got the overall number 1. They don't have one of their best players, as we've noted in the media. I personally feel that Arizona should have been the 1. And I have a little bit of Big 12 bias in saying that, but when you look at rosters top to bottom, health, and everything else that's happened, and quality of wins, I'm sorry, but Arizona is the top team in the country, in my opinion. And that's my favorite to win the title, too, by the way.
Arizona definitely, a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. I think Duke, I think you just remember this, and not that it should matter, but when was the last time Arizona was a 1 seed?
It was 97. It was Miles Bibby and the boys, and they beat the Kentucky team that was stacked full of players. Let me tell you.
The Kentucky teams have always been stacked.
Yeah. So that Arizona squad. It's been a while. It's been a Lute Olson days. Now, hats off to Tommy Lloyd this year. I think he should be coach of the year. Personally, he's done a tremendous job of recruitment. He's brought that program back to life as a top 5 program, and not to sound selfish, but on his bench, way down at 13th, man. He's dealing with, someone's kid down there, and he's having to deal with all that. But that kid hasn't seen a lick of play time because all the other star freshmen on that Arizona team are exceptional, and it's fair. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this offline. I don't care who your dad is, who your mother is. You have to earn a spot.
Yep.
On a team, and I'm not even sure if he really truly earned that spot or if his name sort of gave him that, because you can use the name to attract people as well.
Yep.
It's just not fair. I'd rather have the kid who worked his butt off, who came from the ghetto or the suburbs, who really cares about basketball, than someone who is just basically given that right just because they are of their lineage.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. On that note, let's start off with that East bracket. So you got Duke as the overall number 1 in that bracket. I've got it pulled up here on the side as I go off on the side here and look at stuff. So we've got Duke playing SIUE, I believe, first round. No, sorry, Siena first round. Sorry,
Siena first round. You know what? They're favored by 27. We're not going to talk about that.
That was a gimme. So now here's where we get fun. The 8-9 matchups are always the fun ones. So we got TCU and Ohio State. And you got the Big 12 against the Big 10. And there's probably a good, I wouldn't call it a bias from both our perspectives, because you get to see more Big 10 ball. I get to see more Big 12 ball where we are geographically. I know that TCU it's a dogfight with that team. They play exceptionally well. They play exceptionally hard. They're well coached with Jamie Dixon. They got some good players. Ohio State, to me, is always on the line because, frankly, it's Ohio State by name. I haven't heard star power there since way back in the day when they had, Mike Connolly and, that whole crew, when they made the final. And, frankly, they weren't that good. They were good, but not great.
Greg Oden?
Yeah, Greg Oden days, exactly. So Ohio State, to me, is not a basketball school, but I'm going TCU. I don't know how you're going.
I'm probably going to take Ohio State, but quite frankly, those 8-9s are a toss-up.
It is.
They're just as deadly as the 5-12s that we've seen over the last few years, where there's always a 12 coming through and winning those games.
Yep.
Either way, whoever wins that game is going to get stopped by 20 when they play Duke.
100% agree.
In any of these other games, we'll talk about some of these games, but the real matchups are going to come in the Elite Eight.
Elite Eights. Yep, absolutely. Going down the list here, St. John's, Northern Iowa. Last time Northern Iowa made the tournament, they knocked off my beloved Jayhawks with a guy named Alik Faroukmanesh, who hit a deadly three.
I know that had to hurt. I know
it hurt. It still got stinging memories in a Jayhawk brain. But that said, they're playing St. John's and that Calpo team. And let me tell you, that's a team that got shafted on the seeding line. They beat UConn twice. UConn should have been a 1, in my opinion. Again,
UConn should have been a 1. I agree.
Yeah. And I'll get to that part too with the other number 1 that probably shouldn't have been on the line. But again, they beat UConn twice and they get shafted with a 5 seed. I don't know how to explain that one. St. John's going to kill them in this one, in my opinion. They've got some star players on there, and frankly, they're coached by a guy named Rick Pitino. Simple as that.
You got it right there. I don't see how you can go against St. John's. Just like I get it. They're 5-12s. There are some that win. Maybe Wisconsin loses to High Point because I can see a Big Ten team falling prey to that. Not St. John's. Not Kansas either against the 13 seed. I don't even know who California Baptist is or CA Baptist.
Nobody does, but you know what? California Baptist not only qualified their men's team, but even their women's team this year.
Good for them. Good for them. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Gonzaga was nobody until they were led into the tournament, and now they're able to recruit people
from power.
Yes, exactly. So good for you guys, CA Baptist. I hope that you're able to use this as a launching pad to get better players and continue the consistency that allows you to make it into the big dance.
Absolutely. That said,
but you're gonna lose against Kansas.
I was gonna say let's stay in that quad real quick. So you've got St. John's and Kansas now in a 5-4 matchup in a second round of the NCAAs, which I think this should have been more of like a Sweet 16 type matchup. But hey, who am I to say? Because I have a Jayhawk bias now. I'm going St. John's though.
I know you're going with Jayhawks, but
no, I'm not.
Oh, you're taking St. John's.
I tell you what, and this is where we got to. I think we talked about this maybe 3 weeks ago about Darren Peterson. Kid has no heart. I don't care what they say. They're saying, hey, number 1 pick, smoothest shot. Yeah, the guy's exceptional on the floor. He's got a stroke like I haven't seen since, like they try to compare him to Kobe already. I'm like, nah, dude. No. Let him get to the league. Let him actually last an entire 40 minutes first before let's talk about, actually getting that status.
Overhyping.
Kid has no heart. He doesn't have the buy-in of the team because he hasn't shown up for half the games, frankly. And the guy that I think could make a difference for Kansas and be their leader in the tournament is actually Melvin Council Jr. He's an exceptional transfer. That kid's the dog. And literally at the beginning of the season, row, 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 this was his mantra. I mean, this was a dog. And if that guy comes to shine, I like Kansas's chances. But I'm sorry, Darren Peterson is a cancer to the team, just like our big white guy last year was our cancer too.
Well, what's funny is that earlier today, who is his name? Joe Leonardi, something like that?
Leonardi. Yes,
yeah. So he was saying that this guy may have the talent, but he literally he was talking about the fact that he doesn't even go pick his players up when they get fouled. He doesn't interact with his team. He said this guy is not a team player. It's all about him.
The 20-point loss in the Big 12 semis against Houston was very telling. And you can see that in the body language in the second half. Nobody went to go pick up him, nor did he go pick up anyone else. It was the rest of the team, and then it was him. And frankly, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. And we've seen this come in the NCAAs where you get that one exceptional player coming in that's carrying a team, like Kevin Durant, that lost first round, by the way. You've got those kind of
Texas. Yeah.
So you'll get star power, and I will talk about some more star power on other teams, but frankly, this guy ain't it. And to me, he's going to be a flame out and he's going to be a burnout even if he's picked at 1. To me, the better player for the NBA walking in next year is AJ DeBonsa, and we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. 6'9" talent out of
pure human being. That guy is a
BYU
team player. That guy's a team player. I love watching him.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going St. John's in this one. I don't know what you got.
I'm going to take St. John's. As much as you love Kansas, is as much as I hate Bill Self because of his Illinois days and how he left. So I'm definitely going against Kansas.
And to complete that quarter, you got Duke and St. John's. I've got to go Duke. I mean, I'm sorry, those Boozer boys, they just bad. They bad men. They're going to be carrying this team.
They are, and to have them coming up as freshmen, and there are two top teams now that have freshmen leading the way. Very surprising. Carlos, your kids are way better than you were because you sucked when you were in the pros. I'm sorry.
Never liked the guy. I always thought he was scummy at Duke, and then I thought he was scummier in the pros.
And then we had him on the Bulls, and it was just like it was hard to cheer for the guy. Plus, I'm sorry, I just grew up with an anti-Duke thing. I am one of the guys that was on that 30 for 30 for I hate Christian Laettner. That's me. So I was a Duke. I've hated Duke since I knew how to spell Duke, which was back in the 70s.
Having lived in Kentucky and watching that whole era and appreciating the fact of how much they hate Duke fans by themselves in that state, I've grown to expect things to adopt the same, honestly.
Yeah, but the one thing you can't deny is that the Duke legacy and what they've established as a university and an organization in basketball cannot be beat. I'm sorry, you special grade, you got to give it to them.
John Shire, the Chicago Pipeline, Mike Krzyzewski. I mean, you can't knock it. And in this case, Carlos Boozer's kids are exceptional. I love watching those guys.
Yeah, they are great. But I was like the Michigan fan, and like what Jalen Rose had said about them. I just always thought Duke was that pristine college, suburbanite team, and I like the grit and the grind.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, Duke's going to beat Duke. I'm going for St. John's, but I don't see how Duke is going to lose to anybody, at least up to the final. Even if they don't play well, they're still going to be better than 95% of these teams.
They can play their 7th man and still be strong. So no, I have no doubt there. So that's an elite 8 run for Duke on the top.
What about the bottom?
Yeah, so let's go to the bottom half. So you got Louisville, South Florida. Louisville's always been an ACC contender. South Florida's coming out of a smaller conference. This could be an interesting 6-11 type thing. I'm gonna go upset special because frankly, Louisville doesn't have the star power from what I've seen and heard so far.
I'm actually thinking there's an opportunity for an upset here as well. I'm not as versed as you are within the college game as far as each team and their players and such. But you start getting into the 5s and 6s, and I have a feeling that they're going to be like we see most years. One or two of these teams are going to lose. And Louisville, I'm sorry, name me 5 players on Louisville or 3 players on Louisville.
This isn't the star power days of Louisville. This isn't the Rick Pitino days, anything like that, or Denny Crum days or anything of that sort.
None of that. Yeah.
This is the aftermath. USF's got a couple players. They got 3 players handling double digits right now, so I like their chances. So I'm going.
And I just like USF as a university, both in basketball and football.
Yep, absolutely. Now here's where it gets fun. So we got Michigan State and North Dakota State. I love Tom Izzo. I mean, Tom Izzo, when you give him an underdog card, he gets the best out of his players in March. He is the best coach in March, period, with the least amount of talent that I've ever seen in my life. This guy
have to agree.
A 10 seed, a 7 seed, doesn't matter. He gets the most out. I don't know what kind of pep talk he gives this time of year, but he gets guys that you would never have heard of, seen anywhere that come from the gutter that play exceptional ball in March.
I think he brings Mateen Cleaves back every year, and they're like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
But you had heart. I remember you did something, and he just inspires these guys. I agree with you, Tom. Tommy Izzo does a great job in March, and I think that Michigan State is actually going to win a couple of games at least in the bracket.
And he's got a star player this year. He's got Jeremy Fears, who's been a little controversial this year because the guy has been a little bit of a bad sport when it came to losing causes and stuff like that. But he's got a star player. He's got workhorses. He's got a big in the middle that's traditionally white, and it's just worked out really well for Tom Izzo.
Hey, is that Draymond Green's son, Mr. Kick him in the nuts?
He's got that attitude. He's got that attitude. That's the funny thing about this Fears kid. Very much a Draymond Green, but at the backcourt. It's kind of interesting.
yeah, because he was the guy who got the technical for kicking the guy in the nuts when they played Michigan, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, but now you got Michigan State and South Florida. I think I'm going Tom Izzo.
I'm going Tom Izzo with that one. Don't North Dakota State, kudos to making the tourney. You're going to get mopped by Michigan State in the first round.
Yep.
UCLA and UCF. That I think is going to be an interesting matchup.
So UCLA has underperformed all year, from what I understand, because they've got star power recruitment. From what I've seen and heard so far, I haven't watched any of them. UCF's coming out of the last seed out of the Big 12, and Big 12 was the toughest conference, arguably, in all of college basketball this year. UCF did pull off a couple exceptional wins, I think against Kansas and I think against Iowa State throughout the year. But again, those are just conference rivalries. I don't think they had enough firepower to beat a UCLA.
I don't think so either. I'm going to give UCLA this one, but it'll be short-lived because another team that I think is just – I think they have enough fire in their belly because they were slighted is UConn. And Furman, I've seen your name pop up on sheets over the years. You're just going to get mollywopped by UConn on the court.
100%. No, I'm sorry, but you've just started a fire on Bobby Hurley or Dan Hurley. Yeah. Sorry, Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley's about to take this team all the way to the ride, and he's going to have a guy like a Khalid El-Amin or whoever it is that he has on his squad this year. Ride him. Now, he has two guys on his team that could get three titles in 4 years. Think about that for a second.
Well, that's why they're a force to be reckoned with.
They are the team.
If anything, if you just did it with chalk, which may be in this particular category.
Close enough. Yeah, we're there.
It could be chalk all the way through. That would mean Duke would end up playing UConn in the final in the Elite Eight, right?
Yep. So okay. Quick recap on this division. You've got 5 Hall of Fame coaches in this division. And you've got so between Sean Shire will be a Hall of Famer, Danny Hurley will be a Hall of Famer, Bill Self, Rick Pitino, Tom Izzo. I mean,
the 3 of them are already Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and Dan Hurley's going to go through. Dan Hurley's going to go through Tom Izzo first against Michigan State. Then he's going to go to play John Shire in the Elite Eight. Who do you got, Duke and UConn?
Honestly, I got to go for UConn. I'm going for the established players that have the experience, that have been there and have won it 2 of the last 3 years.
Exactly. I think he's got the team. Duke has the players, but UConn has the team and the coaching, in my opinion. Yep.
I'm going to go with UConn. UConn's going to come out of that section, and they're going to be the Final Four representative.
I completely agree. Let's move down to the South, where I've got my controversy. I don't agree with the number 1 seed out there in Florida. They lost their conference tournament. They've been on and off all season. Yes, they are the defending champions. Don't get me wrong. They have an exceptional team. They've got great players all around, but frankly, I think UConn should have been a 1 seed here, and they got slighted. That said, I don't see Florida having any problems probably making the Elite Eight in this division.
Yeah, given what's down here, and I agree that UConn should have been the number 1 over Florida.
Right.
Whoever Florida plays in the wins the play-in game, they're going to be.
Lehigh is the
Clemson and Iowa. Between the 2 of them, I'm taking Big Ten over. What is that? ACC.
Yep, I'm going Iowa over Clemson as well. So then you got Florida and Iowa.
That's not even a game. I'm sorry. We're gonna take the orange juice over the
absolutely. Absolutely. The team that created Gatorade will win there. No question.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. You just got to take them. Vanderbilt and McNeese. I thought that was McNeese State.
McNeese State, and that is our boy Amir Khan with the jukebox.
I was just about to say. So I'm actually rooting for them. I think this is the opportunity, as well as Vanderbilt has played lately. I think that this could be one of those 12-5 upsets.
Could be an upset. As much as I want to go for McNeese State, and I love what NIL has done for that school because of what Amir Khan has done to bring in the joy of basketball. Vandy's on fire right now. Let me tell you, that's a team that's torn up the SEC. They're playing like a team. They've never been a basketball school in a long time, and they're back. They're the academic school in the SEC, just like Northwestern is in the Big 12 or the Big 10. So
True. Just like McNeese, I'm going probably more on my emotion than my
which is
brain.
fair. I mean, again, emotions can win the day when it comes to betting in here, so it makes it fun. But no, McNeese State it's gonna be a great story. I'm gonna watch that game because frankly, I want to see Amir Khan walk those boys in playing anything he wants.
That'll be on True TV, so I'm definitely gonna watch that Thursday.
Heck yeah.
The men of Troy, I don't think much of Nebraska.
Yeah,
honestly, but they've won some big games.
They've been big in basketball this year. I've been impressed watching them.
Yeah, and I just don't think the men of Troy are going to be able to do anything more than, sit on the bench and put their head in the towel towards the end of the game.
Yep. So you've got Nebraska McNeese. I've got Vanderbilt Nebraska. Which way are you going with this? With McNeese?
I'm taking Nebraska.
You're taking Nebraska. All right.
Yeah, I think Nebraska's going to win 2 games. This one is Troy, and even if Vanderbilt comes out, I'm taking Nebraska.
All right. So then you've got Florida, Nebraska on your side.
Yeah.
I think Florida on that one. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, Florida is going to. Who's going to play them? Nebraska.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think they got the easiest quad too, which kind of pisses me off to the fact that they got the one and they got the easiest quad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to say I don't see anybody beating them. Not any of these teams. So they're going to make it to the Elite 8.
Yep. The other side, I think, is a little bit tougher.
The bottom part is tougher. You got St. Mary's, you got UNC. You got an Illinois team that could lose to Penn, even though they're favored by 24 points because they've been so up and down this year.
They got some solid guard play at Illinois, and if they ever would get a streak going, that team could make some noise. But it'll be interesting to see. Let's start off with the first one: North Carolina VCU. You got a 6-11 matchup. North Carolina's coming off losing some of their best players. Frankly, Hubert Davis isn't doing a great job coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah, North Carolina doesn't have that. Ability to attract the best talent like they used to. North Carolina used to be the powerhouse, not Duke.
Yep.
At one time.
And you've got a VCU team. Granted, now this is not Shaka Smart team,
but it's not. But it's still VCU.
But it's VCU. These cats are hungry, and they're coming out of a smaller conference, and that's the kind of team it takes in March to make some noise. I'm going with the upset special. I'm going VCU.
Well, and it's funny that they're showing them UNC only favored by 2.5 points.
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to take North Carolina, but I could see VCU winning this game. Yep. I'm hopeful that these guys start to wake up and realize this is the dance and this is where you have to play. I don't think they're going to go far. To be honest, they probably will lose against either Illinois or Penn in the next game.
This is where it's going to be telling in terms of the culture in sports because you've got NIL that's come into play in college basketball now. And a lot of these guys are getting paid to go to their schools, respectively, not just scholarship money, but other money. You're playing for March. And this is where you earn your keep to get into the next stage of the NBA and NBA draft and everything else. Who's going to shine on this floor? That's what it comes down to. And at these bigger schools, you got to show up.
And that's the thing. And you would think some of these bigger schools, knowing the history and the legacy of their colleges would have that. But not. We're in a different world.
Yes.
It's not the world we grew up in where everybody was hungry and everybody wanted to make a name and step on you when they played. I don't see that hunger and that desire in all of these guys nowadays. And maybe NIL is part of that because now they are getting paid. Yep,
agreed. So that leads us to Illinois and Penn. The Quakers Ivy League. Who won on a buzzer beater.
Illinois, but Penn has a guy on their team who's a scorer. So
I saw that.
Yeah. So you might be.
I forgot the name of the guy, and I'll try to look it up here in a second. I think it's Ethan Roberts or TJ Power. I forgot which one it is, but one of the guys for Penn was a top 15 recruit out of high school. Think about that for a second. And he went to the Ivies, and obviously he's led this Penn team, and he hit the buzzer beater on Sunday to get him into the tourney. This could be an upset special, but in my case, I'm going Illinois because I like that backcourt Illinois' got. And maybe they'll finally start showing up together.
I'm going to go with Illinois as well. I think, I'm with you. I think here is where, in some cases, we were talking about how, Miami has to play in. I think in some of these cases, these teams benefit from playing in these top conferences because they're playing quality talent every other night. And when they get to the March Madness, I think that shows with some of these teams, not all of them.
Yep, I agree.
And then if North Carolina plays, I'm taking Illinois over North Carolina.
Okay. Yep, and I've got Illinois going to the Sweet 16 as well. Yep. Let's see, St. Mary's and Texas A&M.
I'm sorry, but St. Mary's finishes second to Gonzaga just about every year.
Yeah.
But they come into the tournament, they got a pretty decent squad.
Yep. I'm sorry. Only than that. All right. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. They always get foreign recruits from Australia, wherever it is St. Mary's got its pipeline from. It's pretty cool to watch, but their number one contention is trying to keep up with Gonzaga in their own division, unfortunately. But they got a good program, and obviously their coach has been there forever. Great program. But you're also playing now against an SEC school who, frankly, didn't finish that well. Texas A&M. I'm going to go St. Mary's because, frankly, they're hungrier.
I'm going St. Mary's as well. They got a couple of big guys. They got, I think having lost again in their conference game. Did they lose to Gonzaga or did they lose to a different team?
Lost to Gonzaga in the championship game. I saw it. I was watching that one, yeah. And again, Mark Few and Gonzaga is a culture. You can't. I mean, that's just an unbelievable program that he's built out there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But I'm taking St. Mary's, and we don't need to talk about Houston versus Idaho.
Honestly, to me, Houston's the team that got slighted also on the number one line over Michigan. I think Houston should have been a 1, in my personal opinion, again. But this team is playing on fire, and again, they played in the toughest conference in the tournament in the country against Arizona, and they played them close, and they've even beaten Arizona. At some point, Kelvin Sampson's going to win a title, and I think this year could be the year.
See, I actually think just the opposite there. He's had chances to win with some really good teams, including last year. I don't think he's a winning coach. I really don't. I'm going to take Houston just because of the bracket that they're in. I'm going to take them pretty much all the way.
So Houston versus Florida, what you got?
Now that's where it becomes dicey. And quite frankly, Houston every now and again they lay a dud when they're playing. They've got some great players, I don't trust Florida. I think Florida was overrated.
They were last year. They came a little bit out of the woodwork. And then frankly, their guard played exceptionally well last year. I think this year it's a matchup problem. So Houston doesn't have that huge front court like they did last year.
No, they don't.
No guard play. Conversely, Florida has the front court,
right?
But they don't have the back court from last year. So which way do you go?
I'm taking Houston because I don't know why. Because I'm going to take Houston on that one because honestly, I do feel like the front court does matter. You need to have interior defense. You need to have rebounding, and you need to be consistent in that game to game. Houston may fail at that from time to time, but I think that their guard play is really good, and I think that they'll take them at least to the Final Four. After that, I don't think they're going to win a game. Yeah,
Houston's got Uzan. They got this kid, Kingston Fleming. This freshman's incredible for Houston. It's a great find. I like the backcourt play always in the NCAAs over the front court. I think the backcourts win championships, so that's where I'm going Houston over Florida.
Okay.
Yep. Let's go out to the West. In my opinion, the top team in the program is Arizona. I think they're going to easily coast to the Elite Eight at least, and then we'll discuss from there. My opinion.
Well, who would they play? So you got Long Island, that doesn't count.
Yep.
You got Villanova against Utah State. Whoever wins that, that's a pick'em game.
Who are you picking there? Let's go down. Let's go down that one real quick.
I don't know either team. I'm just going to go Villanova because
I'm going to go Villanova just on history. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason I'm going with them.
Yep.
And then if you keep going down, you got Wisconsin against High Point. This is another one of those.
This gets interesting.
Wisconsin looked decent. They beat who did they beat in the Big Ten tourney?
Yeah.
But they beat Illinois.
Yep.
And
Wisconsin's a 9.5-point favorite. I've got some bias with High Point because my neighbor's kids go there, which is kind of fun. But High Point only has 4 losses this year.
And again, that's the kind of team. They're at that 5-12 thing every year. There seems to be at least 2 of those that go through. This will be my second 5-12. I'm going to take High Point on that one.
I'm going High Point, and it's only because I don't like the brand of basketball that's played in the state of Wisconsin. That thing is
I've always hated it. Like they want to score 50 points. Let's score 50 points and win a basketball game.
I agree. I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't stand it either.
Here's a fun one. So
I got a bias on Arkansas because that's where all my people from my mom's side of the family live.
Frankly,
and I remember the big nasty days.
As much as Nolan Richardson, that's an institution in its own right. I hate John Calipari, but the fact of the matter is he has this kid named Darius Acuff this year, who I think could do a Jordan-esque kind of run in the NCAAs. This kid is special.
I would say watch out for Arkansas. Yep. I think they could be one of those teams, like you mentioned. If Arizona falters a little bit, that could be one of those teams that could beat Arizona.
Yep. So yeah, Arizona, Arkansas. I'm going on Arizona on that one. So Arizona's in my Elite Eight, at least from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I would have to do the same. It's hard to take a team of that caliber and put them any lower than that.
Here's a good one. So you got a feed-in game with Texas, who I think shouldn't be in, and North Carolina State, who again also I don't think should be in.
Nope.
Winner of that will play AJ DeBonsa and BYU. Now, BYU was a better team before they lost their stars.
Yes. Yeah, but they've still been playing well.
AJ DeBonsa is that dude. He's been averaging. He had 96 points in 3 games in the conference tourney. This kid was carrying them on their back, literally.
Right. Is that going to be too much?
Is it going to be too much? I don't know. But I tell you what, BYU's got this team where even with their other guys, they got so many players open on the 3-wing. All it takes is one kid to come on fire, and they'll burn somebody out of the building because DeBonsa will dribble, penetrate in, kick out, boom, 3, over. And these guys can play defense. They're big. They're really big on size, too, at BYU.
Well, I think BYU will beat whoever they
agree.
Do you think they're going to beat Gonzaga, though?
Nope, I think Gonzaga takes that one. Gonzaga's got too much star power, and frankly, it's Mark Few. Let's
I was about to say, they've been there. They've done that.
Yep.
Got to take Gonzaga against BYU. I wasn't even going to say Gonzaga against Kennesaw State because that doesn't count in my mind.
Yeah,
here's an interesting matchup. Missouri. Against BYU, Missouri against Miami. I think that's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. It's going to be that 7-10, ugly matchup, basically. Let me see what the betting line is. Right now, you've got it at 1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 on Miami. I think Miami's getting the bias only because they came out of the ACC, but frankly, I think it's a toss-up matchup. I mean, honestly, I could flip a coin. For me, only because I'm from the state of Kansas, I'm supposed to hate Missouri. I'm going Miami.
Me, it's just the opposite since I was born in the state of Missouri.
There you go. Right.
But again, it's another one of those. And sometimes I feel like it's sort of lopsided here because with the 1 and 2 seeds, unless they just play horribly, how are they going to lose against some of these mid-level teams?
Exactly.
Purdue's going to beat the heck out of Queens.
Yep.
Purdue's have been an if and Andy team. They were ranked number 1 at some point earlier this year. They fell all the way down, but then in the Big Ten tournament, they beat Michigan and won the tourney.
Yep. One quick shout out to the state of New York and New York City. They got 5 schools in this year. And I'm going to chalk that up to the fact that you got Rick Pitino back at St. John's. I think the culture is back a little bit in terms of basketball in the state of New York.
Potentially. I don't know if I'm going to give him that much credit, but I do agree. It's nice to have New York back in the mix when it comes to basketball.
Chicago still owns the land, in my opinion. Chicago recruits end up everywhere else.
But again, Purdue beats Miami or Missouri. Yep. Now you got basically.
How you got Purdue Gonzaga?
Who do you have?
So Purdue's got this backcourt that's pretty sick. They got this Braden Smith kid. They got a bunch of 3-point shooters. They got a big in the middle. It's not a Zach Edey, but it's a big. It's a 7-2. It's a 7-2 monster in the middle that can rebound.
Right.
Gonzaga's got all around play. I'm gonna give the edge to Gonzaga only on the merit of coaching. Honestly, I think Mark Few's gonna game plan around that.
And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna take Gonzaga. Something about Purdue.
Yeah.
Even as good as they've always been.
Matt Painter to me is not that tactical guy. He's a great recruiter, but he's not that tactical guy.
Was it Purdue who had Glenn Robinson?
Yep. Oh, that was way back in the day. That was with Gene Katie. And they beat my Jayhawks.
Right, but they had a killer team, but they didn't win the championship.
That's right. They choked actually that year after they beat us.
It's that kind of thing with Purdue.
Yep.
I just don't have faith in them historically, so I'm going to go with Gonzaga.
So here's what's cool. At least in the West, in the Elite Eight, you get Arizona Gonzaga in a geographic matchup, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Who you got?
Teams.
Yeah, who you got?
I got Arizona. I mean,
Arizona.
I'm not sure Arizona's going to make it all the way. They're another one of those teams that, in my mind, I could see them losing to Arkansas, for instance.
Yep. Nope, I agree.
They're in the number 1, and I can see why people would pick them to win it all.
Yep.
I'm an underdog guy. I just feel like I feel like Gonzaga won't beat Arizona, but Arkansas could.
Arkansas
But it would be the pick to go to the Final Four at the end of the day.
Yep. That said, let's go to the Midwest. It's that Michigan team against UMBC and Howard. Now, this is fun. So, the 16 matchup is a regional matchup. You got Howard down in D.C. You got UMBC 10 minutes up the road from me over here. Last time UMBC made the dance, do we remember what happened?
They beat Virginia, right?
They beat Virginia first round and took that 16-1 thing off the back. It was the first time ever and the coolest thing I've ever seen in sports.
We've talked about that. To me, that was a cool thing. And then another cool thing, a byproduct of that, was the fact that Virginia had just lost, and the very next year they came back and won it.
Yep.
Give them all the credit in the world, because that's a hard pill to chew, to swallow, is to be the only team ever to lose to a 16 seed.
And then come back. Now, who you got in this one? Does Michigan choke?
Against them, no. Michigan's not going to choke. This is going to be one of those Michigan squads, sort of like when they had the Fab Five.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make the run all the way there. Did they deserve to be a number one after losing their conference tourney? Maybe not.
Right.
But I think that they're going to be the team that makes the run. To me, the team that could have beaten them lost their star player yesterday because, which is Alabama. The guy got arrested. I guess he was in a house. I don't know if it's his house or someone else's house, and they had like a pound of marijuana and also paraphernalia. Talk about an idiot.
Yep.
That's the definition of an idiot right there.
Absolutely. The 8-9 matchup is a little heartfelt for me because it's my alma mater, St. Louis University. We're back, baby. The Billikens are back. And we've got Larry Bird Jr. starting our lineup with Ravi Avila. This man is a walking bucket. He's a walking bucket. Now, St. Louis, the only reason they got slipped down in the 9th seed is because they lost in the A10 final to Dayton. Even though they're the number 1 seed, they had the best player of the league and everything else. I'm going with my Billikens over Georgia.
I saw St. Louis play earlier this year. I went to a Loyola game. They've got this one guy who has these little goggles that he plays with.
Ravi Avila. They call him Larry Bird Jr. So he played in Indiana last year, or not Indiana, Valpo last year. And then we brought him over with NIL money over to St. Louis U.
That guy was playing his butt off, and they smashed Loyola when I watched it. I got to go with them. Don't know a lot about Georgia, but I actually saw these guys play in St. Louis, and they look like they could win a game or two. They won't win 2 here, but they'll definitely beat Georgia.
Yep. So Michigan, St. Louis, I think you got to go with Michigan in that one. I think they'll just be out, man. But I love the fact that my Billikens are back since the old days of Rick Majerus that we had for our short-lived. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I think again, it's just good to see teams like that. In my mind, I'm a little guy. I'm not a little guy, but I like the little guy. And coming from the Atlantic 10, is that right?
Yep, A10, baby. Yep.
Yeah, I just happy to see them there. Hope they win that game. Expect them to win that game.
Texas Tech got a special place in my heart in this one.
Hey, Texas Tech is playing Akron.
Akron, yes. And Akron is them boys from, leftover LeBron friends, all that stuff. I don't think they have enough firepower to beat Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech could have been a top 3 team in the country this year, but they lost their best player, Toppin, about 5 weeks ago. And since then, they've still held on. They've beaten all the teams they needed to, but they couldn't beat the likes of a Houston or an Arizona, obviously.
Right.
I just love the fact that this team is coached so well. Their coach has done a tremendous job of keeping up the players, regardless of not having Toppin and all that. I think Texas Tech's going to make a run here. I think they'll get all the way to the Michigan line eventually.
Really, I actually think that Texas Tech has a good team.
Yep.
But I feel like Alabama has a good team, and even though they lost that one player, I think that Alabama, being where they were last year, I feel like they're the team that loses to Michigan.
Yeah, they're that. They got that kid LeBaron Philon. They got this Aiden Holloway, and then they got Weed Smoker boy also. That's their top 3 scorers. And whatever the Weed Smoker guy, hopefully he's back. And if he's not, then maybe they're in danger. But I do like your argument for Alabama. They're a good team.
Yeah, I can't see how he would come back if that's a felony. Like, what do you do?
You get pretty heavy in the state of Alabama, from what I read. Apparently, you get either 10 years in jail or a $15,000 fine. I'm sure the boosters will try to pay it off, but man.
But still, though, do you want that kind of publicity following your team during the tourney?
Nah, that's a tough one. So
because I thought they already released him from the team. He's no longer on the team.
Oh, he already got so there you go again.
That was the case. His name is Holloway, right?
Oh, so that was their number 2 player. Shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they got Phylon, and he's gonna have to carry him. That'll be interesting.
So we'll see how that works, but yeah, I don't think they'll be bringing him back.
No. All right, and let's see. Tennessee. We're back to Rick Barnes season. Rick Barnes chokes in March.
Yeah.
I'm going Miami, Ohio, SMU winner, and I hope to God it's a Miami, Ohio that makes the run here.
I'm with you. I agree with you with Rick Barnes and Tennessee. Tennessee is just a choke, university. I'm taking whoever wins the 11, and I hope it's Miami as well. But nobody's going to beat Virginia. I think Virginia's going to be a tough out this year for whoever plays them, and I see them
all out there too.
I actually see Virginia beating Iowa State at the bottom of this bracket and playing Michigan to go to the Final Four.
See, now I've got Iowa State all the way to the Final Four in mind, and I'll get to that one here in a second too. But you got Kentucky, Santa Clara. What you got there? This ain't the same Kentucky boys. Mark Pope's having struggles with these guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kentucky's not what it used to be. The coach seems to be if and Andy. One week he seemed like he just wanted to fire the whole team. The next week he loves them.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Santa Clara.
The first time Santa Clara's back since that little guy named Steve Nash.
Oh, there's some history for you.
And they came in as a 15 seed that year and knocked off a 2 back then. So,
well, Kentucky's only favored by 3.5, so that's a telling line there for me.
It is, and that'll be an interesting one. So then you got Iowa State playing the winner of that one. I got Iowa State. Frankly, that Iowa State team is loaded with talent, including who I call Tony Kukoc 2.0. They got a kid named Momcilovic. He balls like Tony Kukoc.
Well, they do have a good team, and it's good to see them back. I've always liked them historically, but I don't think they're going to beat Virginia. Virginia looked pretty good in their training.
Virginia's looking good. Looking good. They play that weird slow ball that I can't stand, but it works.
Yeah, I don't like that style of play, but I think that it might be effective for them. I can see them coming and actually beating Iowa State. But again, I don't think any of these teams are going to beat Michigan.
Yep.
Something tells me you got Iowa State beating Michigan.
I've got Iowa State beating Michigan. You got Michigan versus Virginia. What you got?
I got Michigan.
You got Michigan. So you got Michigan versus Arizona in one Final Four.
I got chalk, baby.
Okay, so Arizona there. Or no, sorry, you're taking Arizona over Michigan then?
Oh, no, I'm taking Michigan over Arizona.
Oh, you're taking Michigan over Arizona. Okay, so you got Michigan to the final. And then Duke versus, I believe we agreed on Houston or Florida. Who did you have? I have Houston. You have Florida?
I think I had Houston.
Okay, so we both have Houston. So it's Duke versus Houston in the other semi.
And that's Duke.
That's Duke. So you got Duke and you've got Michigan in the final.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. No, I got UConn beating Duke. Remember?
Oh, you got sorry. Yeah. So, okay, so you got UConn and Houston. Sorry.
Yeah, I got UConn and Houston, and I'm taking UConn.
All right, so you got UConn and Michigan then in your final.
Yes, and I got UConn winning it all.
Fair enough. I like that pick. I'm going the other way. I've got Iowa State and Arizona, so I got the all Big 12 matchup on that, and I'm going Arizona over there, and then I've got Duke over UConn, and then I've got Houston. So I got Duke Houston. I'm going Duke over Houston. So I got Duke Arizona in the final. I got Arizona over Duke.
All right.
Yep. So
I didn't want to take all chalk. That's why I got
it's hard to take all chalk ever. Yeah, I don't disagree. At the same time, I've got a bias on the Big 12 because I think it was the most brutal schedule to play, and those teams are seasoned. But this is March. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. All it takes is for you to get on a roll.
Yep.
Any team could win this. I mean, not any team, but you know what I mean. I could see some of these young teams. I could see in Arkansas with the experience of the coach.
Yep.
I could see a St. John's with the experience of the coach.
Yep.
I could see a Michigan State.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's a lot here. Gonzaga. You got some of these big name colleges who could make a run, and all it takes is for one of these number ones to falter a little bit.
I think I mentioned this to you offline. I think this is a year where you've got a good amount of parity, so it's kind of an unpredictable bracket, which is kind of nice. You don't have a pure favorite. You've got the Dukes and the UConns, but you've got maybe 5-6 teams that could honestly contend for the title this year, which is kind of nice. I can't say that for the women's game. And I don't want to go through the whole bracket here, but long and short of it is you got a 49% probability that UConn is a champion this year, undefeated. And I'm not going to disagree with that because that is one loaded team that Gino Oriama's got.
I don't know how they do that year in and year out for the last, 2 decades.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
UConn has been head and shoulders better over that time frame than every other team, and I want to say all of them combined.
Yes.
How many championships have they won versus all of the other colleges?
Well,
and really, it's what, South Carolina and
it was like a pass. It was like a passing of the baton when it happened. So you had Tennessee was kind of the gold standard for a long time with Pat Summitt.
Yeah,
way back in the day.
Yeah, with Pat Summitt, right?
And Gino Auriemma comes along and is like, nah, it's mine. And he takes it and he runs with it for 10, 15, 20 years. They're still running with it. And Tennessee's unfortunately fallen by the wayside because they haven't really figured out a succession plan after Pat Summitt. South Carolina, on the other hand, you've got a brilliant coach down in South Carolina.
Oh, Don Staley and what they've done down there. That's where Asia came from. That's where quite a few of the stars from the WNBA came from.
Yep. So South Carolina's a monster in its own right, but it's still getting that point to the UConn status. And then you've got, a smattering of teams here and there that have tried to contend. You've had Notre Dame, you've had here and there, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan personally. UConn's the gold standard. There is no question.
Yeah. No LSU, no Notre Dame, none of those other teams.
Baylor,
it was something for a minute. Yeah. UCLA had somebody in there. They were supposed to look like something for a minute. I love this girl who's with Iowa State. What's her name? She's a big girl and she can play.
Talking about Audie Crooks?
Yeah, Crooks. There you go.
You're about to get shook by Audie Crooks. Check out that beat on YouTube if you get a chance, everybody. That is the coolest song of the season. However, Iowa State has kind of faltered because they figured out, hey, they got Audie Crooks and they don't really have a supporting cast, unfortunately. So I think they're like a 3 or 4 seed, I think, in the tournament this year. But they're a force to watch. Audie Crooks, that's the next WNBA stars. That girl can't be stopped in the middle.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, like we were talking about chalk in the men's, I feel like the women's game is so chalk.
It's too much chalk. That's what kind of takes away from it because you got star characters like we've seen in recent years with Caitlin Clarks and everything else. But it's UConn or bust every year, I feel like.
Pretty much. The years they don't win, it seems like an upset, unless it was South Carolina who won.
Because they don't win, they have an injury. That's what it is.
Yeah, actually, it's true. That's true.
Paige Buckets doesn't get injured her junior year. You're looking at probably a back-to-back title, probably.
You're probably right. I tell you what, it's going to be an exciting month.
Yep.
We're going to love the sport of basketball. I generally don't watch a lot of college basketball until the conference tournaments, and I enjoy what I've seen so far and always what I see leading up to the tournament. But this next few weeks, there's going to be true madness, people. And
starting off with tonight, like I said, I hope Miami, Ohio starts off on the right foot. They get that home game, which is kind of nice. But I would love to see them make a little run just to teach the committee a little lesson. Hey, it's hard to be undefeated anywhere. I don't care what it takes.
You both committees for not recognizing what we have done, and now we had to show you that we truly earned the right to be here.
Yep, absolutely. So no, I think we're in for a lot of fun. Thursday and Friday, if you get the opportunity to take some time away and enjoy, go out to a bar, go out to your local scene, gather some friends. It's a fun time, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like the extension of St. Patty's Day all the way through the weekend because you got Thursday and Friday, but then you also got Saturday and Sunday coming right behind you. So be a lot of basketball on the slate. You got a little bit of golf. You got a little bit of some other sports as well, but the NCAAs are going to dominate the sporting landscape for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, keep an eye on that golf. It's been getting exciting leading up to the Masters. You got a lot of fun contention going on with Bhatia a couple of weeks ago. You got Cameron Young this past week. Let me tell you, the Masters is shaping up to be a lot of fun here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, my neighbor's going down to be at the Masters. They know someone who has like the tickets or something, or they're a member, and they won't be able to go one of the days. So they're actually going to go down there. I envy them. I wish that it was me.
No, golfer's dream is to go down there and enjoy one of those 4 days. Because let me tell you, that is the mecca of golf. There is no question.
Yep.
That said, like I said, huge sports week on tap. But again, this is the best time of year to get together with folks, hang out, enjoy the camaraderie, take a time away from all the other stresses in life, and honestly enjoy sport, to say the least.
Enjoy it, have fun with it. For those areas that are a little bit warmer, it should be easy for you guys to go out and enjoy a setting with other people where you're all going to be yelling at the TV, good, bad, and other, and have a great time. For those in the colder areas, maybe you don't want to go out. Hopefully there's parking right in front of wherever you're going, but you can also sit at home, order something good, get a Lou Malnati's pizza, and have a good time there too.
And more importantly, bet safely, folks. No, NCAAs can get a little nasty, let me tell you.
Oh man, I wish I was in Vegas right
it's
at the
a great
boards
time.
right now. But yeah, it could be nuts. Somebody you could lose. Some people might have to get a second job after the NCAAs.
There's some wild parlays that take place on these kinds of weekends, especially if you're in Vegas and you got that privilege of even seeing that kind of craziness. I've seen people go out there and bet, hey, all 416 teams are going to win the first weekend and whatever, and the odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
Never going to happen ever. But if they picked WNBC the one time, they were good.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance we can hold out hope. But no, on that note, we will be back to follow up on the NCAAs next week. Like I said, enjoy the competition and everything, and we'll be back to make some revised picks if we have to for the Sweet 16.
It is going to be a great weekend for sports, guys. I see football because football is always on my mind.
Right.
It'll be a great time. Have some fun, and remember, make a friend that doesn't look like you.
Yes,
have
sir.
a good time with people who aren't the people that you know. Spread a little love. You might get some back.
Yep. On that note, my partner, I will see you next week, and thank you all.
Be well.